And like that, I figured out more technology. So I can schedule it and it doesn't go live right away. I get a preview, which is what I've been looking for, and I couldn't figure out why I have to go live, and I've been screwing it up. Now I get it. So there you go. I can schedule it so I can show up live. How's everybody doing tonight? It's Sunday, day 8 of the Randsanity Live. Let's see how long I can keep this going. Last night was a little rough, I'm not going to lie. If anyone was paying attention, last night was after Wine Festival. I got up around 7 o'clock in the morning, and the Wine Festival started at 1 p.m. and ended at 7 p.m. We got cleaned up at about 9. I got home around 10:30 and jumped right on and did this. So it was a little rough around the edges, not going to lie. So here we are, and we're live doing this again. I came up with an idea for something to do on the regular. So that'll be something I'll talk about in a couple minutes. I kind of let people get warmed up here, since in the first couple minutes I don't really have a lot of people that show up, or in general at all at this point. So we're going to, hopefully that'll change, and I won't just be monologuing to nobody for the duration this evening. I can't do them earlier. I would do them earlier if I could, but I can't do them earlier. I don't get home in time. I don't get done in time, and I just, it's not something that's going to happen. So you can catch these later at a later date, but you're not going to be able to catch these live unless you're here at night. So that's kind of where it's at. Sorry. Such is life in the big city. So I did come up with a couple of ideas. I think one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to do the concert of the day. So that is going to entail a concert that I attended. After doing 30 plus years of shows, I pretty much think I can find that I have a ticket, which, I mean, I have a ticket. This stuff, these boxes, and this large amount, just this overwhelming amount of old ticket stubs from all the shows. So I'm betting I can find a ticket stub for every single day of the week. Every single day. Easily for a year. Because that's only 365. And if I was averaging 3 concerts a week, so that's what, 3 times 5 is 150. So 2 years is 300. I did this for 30 years. That's 1,000. I mean, wow. It's a lot of shows. So I've been to a lot of concerts. I'm sorry, what did you say? Yes, I'm completely deaf because of that fact alone, that I've been to a lot of concerts. But I do have the ability to probably find a show for every single night of the year. So that's what I'm going to do. And it happened when I was digging through some crap, because I'm in my basement, my studio, my small, tiny little 7-foot by 8-foot square that I'm surrounded by the tools. Oh crap! Wire above my head, so I don't just hit that. But I'm surrounded by my tools and all the crap that I have gathered over the years. And I was looking through these lanyards. I have so many, and this is nothing. Just so you know, this is a small percentage of what I have. I'm going to dig out more of them and get them from all the places. I have them in the office, I have them here, I have them upstairs, I have them downstairs, I have them in boxes, I have them in bags. I'm hanging on doorknobs, I'm hanging on the walls. There's so many from all the access and all the things. But again, finding a show for every day of the week. And it hit me because I ran into a lanyard that was from a show that happened in 2013 yesterday. And it was for Atlas Genius. And I don't know if that was it might have been their first show. I didn't get a chance to dig into looking to see if that was the day that they played the very first show ever, at the radio station when they came into the big room. They had just come from Australia, and it was their first radio interview and their first show, and they told us the story. And they're great guys. I actually just saw them a few months back when they came through. They called me up and invited me, because I still talk to them. When I went out to LA one time, I actually hung out and just went out and met them in the movie theater and saw a movie with them, because I was out in LA for a different movie event. They happened to be going to see a movie, and I ran into them, and we went out to the movies together and just hung out. So really cool guys. Glad that they're still doing their music and doing well. But the stories, I can have a story for pretty much every single show that I remember from every single show that I've been to on those dates. And that was the one, was Atlas Genius. And I believe it was their first time in America. And they came into the radio station, and I think someone made a joke about, aren't your arms killing you, that they just flew in, ha ha ha. I don't think that was me. I may have some corny jokes, but I don't think that was the corny joke I had at that moment. But they had just gotten here. And the story was that they had made a song and put it out there, and it didn't go anywhere. So they just assumed that they weren't going to make it, and they just stopped. And they went back to like university or whatever, and they just kind of left it be. And that was it. And they just never thought about it again. And some months later, they went and there was something happened, and they got an email and voicemail or something, checked something, and there was this just onslaught of people trying to get in touch with them about their song. And they didn't realize that, holy crap, we made it. People are, anxious for our music. And that was how Atlas Genius got started. So that was the story that they told us, and it sounded great. So I think I've recapped it properly in the respect that that's the beginning of Atlas Genius's first show in Columbus, Ohio, of all places, at the little radio station, the independent local radio station, housing a new artist. Shocking, I know. They didn't have 500,000 downloads or 1 million previews, but someone took a chance on them. So who knew? Atlas Genius. But that's one of the things. We'll talk about shows, concerts. I have a lot of concert stories, all sorts of fun concert stories, and I can recap that for every single day. So I think it'll be one of the features as I'm gelling what each thing is, features. And I know that that was a yesterday show. A today show, which I know I saw, I think it was back in 2006. It was like 20 years ago. It was Brandi Carlile. I think we went there because it was Americana. I think we might have been playing her, and one of the record guys invited us, and we went to see Brandi Carlile tonight, many, many years ago, 20 years ago, back in the Newport Music Hall. And a lot of shows happened at the Newport Music Hall, the longest running concert venue in America. And it was a really, really good, it's a great place, amazing place. Cool, great vibes. I don't remember the day, but I'll always remember some of the shows I saw there. One of the very first shows I worked there. It's one of my favorite stories of all time to tell people about the Newport Music Hall. My first job, when I moved to Ohio, when I moved to Columbus, Ohio, was working at the Newport Music Hall. Walking down the street, it was August of 1987. August of 87, I believe, is when I got here. And I was walking on the street and on High Street, kind of new to Columbus, didn't really know a lot about it. And there was a sign outside the Newport Music Hall that said help wanted. So the doors opened, so I walked right in. So I, just stroll in, and I'm like, hello, hello, hello. And from out of sort of the side area comes this big bald guy. And a big, kind of bruiser-looking bouncer guy. He walks up to me, he goes, what do you want? I'm like, I came in for the job. It said help wanted outside. He got like right up in my face. And I mean like uncomfortably close. No personal space whatsoever. Just sort of eyeing me up and down. You're like, so what do you want to do? You want to work here? And I'm just like, yeah. I'm like, well, yeah. And he sort of gets even closer, and I can just about feel his breath on me. And he's like, can you handle yourself? And I was like, what? He's like, can you handle yourself? And I was like, dude, I'm like, back up. What the hell? And I was like, what am I like? You know, kind of like what's the deal? You know, kind of took a bit of a defensive posture, and he kind of goes, "Cool, you start tonight. I'm Terry." I was like, "Okay, Terry Paul, rest in peace, TP." I remember his autograph because he made a little teepee. He made a T and a P with a triangle. That was TP, Terry Paul. Really good guy, really good guy. Left us too early. But yeah, that was my first job, and I worked as the door guy of all things because I was 6'2" and kind of a strapping young lad that could look like I could handle myself, and so they put me at the door, and at the stage door of all places. So all the bands would walk past me, and I would be, where the bands would come out of the dressing room, to be able to go outside to the bus or inside to the bus down the little back stairs, and basically stop anybody that didn't have the proper credentials or wasn't the band. That was my first gig. And it was easy, I mean, I just kind of stood there looking, whatever, back behind the scenes. And, there's some really funny stories. It was a very short time. I didn't last there too long. Only for the fact that I've discovered that I could bartend and make a lot more money. And it fit my personality a lot better to be out in the public as opposed to being back behind the curtain, hiding in the sort of the bowels of the building, so to speak. It worked a lot better for me that way. So I learned bartending and did that very quickly while I was, at the university, uh, furthering my education, as they would say. But there was a couple funny stories from some of the bands. I remember L.A. Guns. They performed one night. Little skinny guys from L.A. Little heavy metal band, L.A. Guns, and they had to get to the bus that was not parked proximity wise. It was across the parking lot. And there was a just massive amount of people, fans waiting for them. And they just were going to get mobbed. So I had to go, walk, huddled with them one at a time and, shuffle them off to the bus because all these fans were, mobbing on them. So there was just, to this day, I know there's literally hundreds of pictures. If someone goes back and they find pictures of, L.A. Guns playing at the Newport Music Hall back in the late 80s with me chauffeuring, these band guys out to the bus, which was just hilarious at the time. One of my least favorite artists, and I don't talk, and I won't talk badly about artists because I think that would be not well received. But there was an artist, and we were told, you cannot look at him. We could not look at him when he passed us. We had to turn our backs. We were not allowed to catch his gaze in any way, shape, or form when he passed us on the stairs. So I have always remembered that fondly, because it was, this is the Newport Music Hall. It's a 2,500 person venue, which is great. But it's not like we're playing a 20,000 person venue and you're such a preeminent artist that, no one can look at you. But yes, we were told we had to turn our backs. Turn our backs. Don't look. Don't look. So yeah, so I followed procedures and did not look as he passed by his eminence of rock and roll, being that he was so bad to the bone. Gave it away. But it was interesting, to say the very least, that the artist would not let us catch his gaze. But that was just a couple of the stories from the Newport Music Hall. There was lots of other ones. The bands were, always fun, always crazy. And, then years later, after the sort of the scene that I started working in the music industry as a tour guy, I started working in the radio industry as the intern guy which then led me into a much different path when it came to my interactions with bands, where I was housed in the venue as opposed to being hidden in the back. When I was in the back, I'd be in the dressing room or other places. So that would make it very different. It was a much different experience, a more robust experience, a more fulfilling experience, to say the least. But I found myself, one of my very early gigs, and I'll move on from this path for tonight. One of my, probably the earliest earliest gigs of the whole thing was, for some reason, back in the day, the DJs didn't do a lot of stuff. It wasn't very public. They didn't do stage announcements. They weren't out and about. So it sort of fell on me as the promotions guy to do just that. So I was the guy that would go to events. I would go, not only to oh wait, I broke these, didn't I? Yeah, see, I broke these yesterday. Really, really annoying. So I always have a new pair. So, yeah. Home Depot special. My Home Depot special glasses. I buy them by the 3-packs because they're cheap. Oh, look, it's not poking the side of my head anymore. I can get rid of these glasses. I'll save them. I'll put them over here, and they'll make it over here. I'm going to put them into my electrical bag. See, that way, there's already a pair there that's these broken. No, they're just dirty. They're scratched, and they have paint on them. But that's what happens. Old glasses never die. They just get recycled into work bags. So when I need them for something else ever, I can have one. But the Newport Music Hall story is so I am there to be the MC. Okay, so I'm going to introduce the band. It's a sold out show, and I think the band was First Light. It was a reggae show, and the guy back there, Cliff Hardy. Cliff was a local promoter. I think he's now in Taiwan promoting, or Vietnam or something. But Cliff was a great guy. And Dighton Charlemagne, I'll never forget Dighton Charlemagne. He was in one of the bands. And these guys are all, getting ready for the show. So I'm backstage hanging out. And there's the hospitality there. And I remember there was pasta salad. And we were eating pasta salad. And a couple of the guys in the band are like, hey, man. And they're just rolling these spliffs. They've got the backwoods cigars. And they had, they would get them wet. And they'd unroll them, and they had these nice big flat pieces of tobacco, and then they would put obviously the ganja inside this backwoods, and then they'd re-roll it and make these big old spliffs. And he's like, hey man, you want some? I'm like, no. And this is not really. This is like so early in my radio career. I mean, way in the beginning. Like I don't even know if I was paid at this point. This might have been like non-paid intern days when I first started. And so I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want to, last thing I need to do is be altered in any way, shape, or form doing something like that. Because I always, for the most part, tried very hard to be very professional when I was working. Because of the fact that, this is the job. You have to do it no matter what, no matter what the situation is. So I'm just hanging out backstage, talking to these guys. They're cool, having fun. I'm sitting there and, eating the catering and having a nice time. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, he's like, hey, you're going to go on in about, half hour. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm ready. And so I'm sitting there and the guy comes up and he says, hey, man, be careful. Those are strong. And I'm like, what? He goes, the brownies, man. I'm like, oh, crap. This is my second one. Oh, man, you're going to be so high. I freaked out because this was like catering. It was like a pasta salad in a thing you see from a caterer. It didn't look like it was somebody that homemade this. The brownies were perfectly cut into little squares and all this was, catered, right? No, apparently it was not catered. Or it was catered, but that was not part of the catering. So regardless, I now was freaking out because I'm, you know, watching my watch, like, oh no, what is gonna happen? So of course, time goes by. I'm just standing back there. Guy gives me the cue. He's like, "Oh, hey, come." He's like, "Come on up here." He's like, "We're gonna get you on in 2 minutes." I'm like, "Okay." Standing there, the big curtain is there, and I can kind of peer out, and I see the crowd. He goes, "Just center mic. It'll be hot when you walk up." I'm like, "Okay." And I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm good, I'm good. And it's you know, 60 seconds. All right, I'm good, I'm good. Behind the curtain, I look outside, and it's packed. It's sold out show. I can see the balcony. It's people are at the balcony, just crowded, full show, and nothing's on stage. The band's sort of waiting in the wings behind me a little bit. He's like, "Okay, you're on," and he pulls the curtain open, and I mean, literally, the second he pulls the curtain open, the brownie hit me, and it was like. So I step out into this stage, and the spotlight's on, and I kind of stumbled and like walked right up to the microphone, and I just stood there, and I just stared, and I didn't say a word. And the crowd kind of settled down because they saw me come out, and they didn't make a sound. You could have heard like a pin drop. And I'm just standing there, literally just stupefied, standing there like, and finally I spoke. And I said, "I'm Randy with CD 101 Malloy." And I kind of staggered off, and not a sound. And again, I just kind of stand there, and I just look at people, and it's like a fisheye lens, and I'm right on the edge of the stage because I'm right where the monitors are because I've got the center microphone. And I just look out, and I just go, "I ate a brownie backstage," and the crowd just erupted. They're like, "Wah!" And I just stood there for like another, I don't know, it felt like forever, but it was probably 10 seconds. And then I just kind of stumbled away and walked off the stage. And I was for sure like, I am so fired. I am so going to lose my job for this. I didn't. And it was great. The show was great. Everything worked out fine. But that was that was one of my, if not my first experience ever being the stage announcer in front of a large crowd. And I thought I blew it for sure, but did not. Um, but that was the story. So, Don, there you are. Hey, I scheduled this one, so it even said it starts at 10:45. So I figured out how to schedule these so you can see when it'll start. So I'm going to work on making sure it's scheduled. Okay, that's where we're at. To miss what I recapped is that one of the things I figured out I'm going to do as a regular feature is I'm going to do this day in my concert history, because I can probably, with all the shows I've been to in 3.5 decades, find a show for every single day of the year that I've attended over the years. And I was talking about Atlas Genius, which their first show I believe was 6/7/13, and that was at the radio station when they had just come in from Australia. And I was saying that on 6/8 today, I remember we went and saw Brandy Carlisle in 2006. I think maybe it was Kevin Young or one of the guys who had Americana artists. We went and saw Brandy Carlisle, which was a good show. I mean, it wasn't completely my thing, but I was okay with it. But so that was kind of fun. But yes, I'm going to do a fun idea of sort of my day in music history. Since I saw so many shows back in the day, I will try and recap the things I remember when I can from some of those halcyon days of glory back when we first started all this silliness. So a little bit of recap from the week then, recapping this week. We talked a little bit about, unfortunately we had to discuss on the 6th our good friend Mace Brazel, who passed away 5 years ago on June 6th. Rest in peace, Mace. That was sad and unfortunate, and we're gonna have to talk about another passing here coming up before too long, July 18th. Andy Davis. We lost Andy. For people that knew Andy, for you that didn't, well, we didn't. I reviewed a new album by Turnstile that just came out. It is their 5th album. Never Enough is the name of the new album. I highly recommend it. I've been listening to it pretty much nonstop at this point. It's they're 15 years old. I mean, not them. The band is now 15 years old. So definitely worth checking out, though. It's good. It's hardcore punk. They've got some electronic in it this time. Their Glow EP back in 21 featuring Holiday and Blackout is when I was introduced to them. And it's, again, 2 songs. Listen to it. Check it out. If you like the kind of music, then you're probably like Never Enough. It has the same kind of vibe. They've matured a little bit more. Their songwriting is but similar, though. It's definitely rock. It's definitely not sit back and drive 25 down the highway. This is when you're going to get up to highway speeds and, put the pedal down and have a little fun, tapping the toes and not hitting the brakes. So keep that in mind when you're possibly driving, listening to Turnstile. Yes, I do, Don. I would say, look, here's the absolute just massive amounts of lanyards that I have. If you look at this is just, I've got lanyards for just about every show. There's a lot. And this is just what was hanging on the doorknob in my basement. So that's not even like beginning to on my office or the boxes. And the tickets I have, I will grab a stack of them, but the old school tickets, honestly, I probably have a stack this tall of tickets, if not bigger, just from saving all of them over the years. It was nice to have them. And I really miss that we don't get them these days. I really wish that there was a way to commemorate that. That they automatically did that at the venues. It's not something that has to be a service or something for that, which sucks. But that's just the way it is. Welcome to the changing world that we live in. But yes, Turnstile. So check them out. It's definitely good. You'll like it, I think. Again, if you like hardcore punk band music. I talked about the cone, which I will definitely get back to this experience. I don't know if the cone's in the video anywhere, but the cone experience was to do with the co-starring role in the Day Tripping with Stephen Hines Verified show that I'm now part of. So I'm hoping that picks up a little bit. We did get some fun stuff out of that. Yesterday, sand dropping from that. Yesterday, this happened. I'm looking for the guy in the van, which just cracked me the heck up. There was a guy named George who made a shirt that said, "I'm looking for the guy in the van," because I'm the guy in the van in the Day Tripping, which I just found to be hilarious. I mean, really. Who doesn't love that somebody actually went ahead and did that? So, didn't stroke my ego at all. Yes. Then we've also got, wait, where did it go? Oh, this one was really funny. So this I got from their producers, and it is the retention or something for the video. I don't know what it is, what metrics that they got, but it's from the video, and the spikes are me when I'm on camera. So they all were impressed by that fact, because I was dumb to it. I was like, is that a good thing? They're like, that's great. That's like star power. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then, hire me so I can do this more. So I'm not just monologuing for people. Maybe they can see me in other things with my range of acting skills. Serious, sad, funny. Hey, you got to try, right? That's all we can do these days. So that's where that's at. That was an interesting turn of events that we got that whole thing going on. I showed a small thing from Costco yesterday because while we were getting stuff for the wine festival, which happened yesterday, which was a huge success, by the way. Thank you so much for asking. The the truck, the forklift, got stuck actually in the door of the truck I was in because we were picking up this much ice, literally a ton of ice. So when someone says, "Oh, I need to get a ton of ice," oh, okay, well, how much? I said, "No, a ton. That's what I want. I want a ton of ice, not like partially, like really a ton of ice." So that got stuck, and I have a lot of other video, but I didn't actually download it yet because again, see, this is why I'll be better at this because I can monologue and talk about pictures because my editing skills suck. I just don't have the patience to do it. I guess maybe the skills. I guess editing is a skill for sure. I definitely have the respect for people that do it, but I don't have that skill. It's something I didn't learn. Maybe I can learn it. Maybe I can't. That's patience, not editing. Because I can learn editing, I just can't learn patience. But we'll try. I mean, as we get older, right? We can still learn, can't we? We can still wrinkle our brains. But that was the Costco incident that started the whole day off. Furthering through the day, a little more recap from yesterday, I got a card from and was actively recruited, which I am going to explore, just so you know. I am going to ask because I thought this was beyond funny. CPD said I could be an officer, or, well, I should join the force. I don't know if they would make me an officer or, who knows, a liaison, or I don't know what that would be, but that would be ridiculous. So I don't know. Are they that hard up that they would hire me to be a cop? I don't know. I don't think so. That they're that hard up or they would hire me to be a cop. But he was in charge. He is the recruiting officer for the Columbus Police Department. So I don't know. I just found that to be one of those things where I was like, sure, why not? That's hilarious. So we'll see. And then, of course, we had the wine festival yesterday, which went really well. I have all sorts of stuff to do with that. So today, new stuff. Today is National Best Friends Day. So before the day ends, reach out to your nationally best friend and say, "Hey," say, "Hi, best friend," because that's what you should do. I neglected to do that because I talk to my best friends all the time, so I guess I don't need to reach out to them in a serious manner because I talk to them in a regular manner all the time. But yes, today is National Best Friends Day. Tomorrow is National Rhubarb Pie Day and National Donald Duck Day. Oddly enough, or coincidentally enough, we met the guy once who actually does the voice for Donald Duck. He came in to the radio station. I forget why he was here. He was here in town for some comic show or Comic Con or something, but got to meet him. And of course, he spoke like Donald Duck. We were like, okay, so apparently you're Donald Duck. But I guess June the 9th was many years ago, obviously, was the first time that Donald Duck ever appeared in video. So that's my connection to Donald Duck. Why National Donald Duck Day means so much to me, because I got to meet the guy who did Donald Duck's voice, which, I guess that's a very weird talent to have. I mean, everyone can kind of talk like Donald Duck, but to be like the guy, not everyone is that guy. So it's kind of weird. So we'll see. Who knows? We also get to meet all sorts of fun people from Comic Cons and everything else, and we'll go over those at some point. I know there's a lanyard here somewhere. I think it's in my office. My autographed William Shatner lanyard, being I got to meet Bill, Mr. William Shatner, Bill Shatner. He was a joy. He was a charmer. I mean, he's a little stoic. But that's what Canadians are, I guess. A little stoic. But that was fun. And we met Vern Troyer, Mini-Me. And actually, there's a great story behind the Mini-Me meetings. The very first person that I created the rock star stick for which is basically just an 8-foot 2x4 that we measured the height of band members and people that came into the radio station over the years, was Vern Troyer, because he was so small. It wasn't even funny. He wasn't 3 foot tall. So there had to be some commemoration of this fact. So I just ran into the back room, literally grabbed a 2x4, stood up next to him with a Sharpie, and I was like, zip, tape measure, how tall are you? And had him sign it. And the rock star stick idea was born. So, because no one will ever be shorter than Vern Troyer that I would figured I would ever get to meet. So it's framed had a plastic case made for it, and it was at the station. I will bring that home, and I will maybe display it here, because there's some very tall people that are on it. Like Vance Joy was very tall, and Fitz in the Tantrum is very tall, and who else was really tall? There was a couple that were just amazingly tall. 6'6", 6'8". You're like, oh, okay, you're very big, very, very tall. But yes, the Rockstar Stick. That was just another one of these fun things. So I will start pulling things out of the memory banks of the radio station, because I think that either will bore people or not. And hopefully they'll be relatable enough, even if you weren't a radio station listener or fan or knew the station, that you can relate to the stories, because they'll be funny and poignant. Probably not poignant, because brevity is not my strong suit. But they should be fun. One of my poignant ones, or brevity ones, I remember the time I met Neil Young, and he was that, I think out then was that song, This Bud's For You, and he was backstage doing his meet and greet, and we met him, and he's hanging out, and he's drinking a Budweiser. But every time someone pulled a camera to get a picture, he had a dude that was just arm's length away who'd reach in, boop, and pull the beer out of his hand, so he wasn't holding it when he get the picture taken. So he didn't ever get caught with a beer in his hand. And it's because he had this guy. It was literally, sure, he was hired. He was one of his entourage. But he would take the beer out of his hand. And as soon as the camera went down, they were done. He just, didn't have to look. It just like, boop, right back into his hand. So, yes, that was one of those really funny sort of anecdotal stories that didn't mean much. Talked to Neil for just a couple minutes, said hello. It was nice to meet him. It wasn't like we became buddies and have phone numbers and hung out again ever. But it was, great to say, yes, I met Neil Young. Met lots of artists. 99.99% were really good guys to do. Needs up a bit. Too whispery. Well, that's because I'm whispery. Again, I'm down in my basement in the cellar, and I am American Beauty down here. Just the weird cellar dweller at this point. So I'll work on getting the volume proper. Make sure my energy level's up and the volume's up on these things. You know what it is? I can't see. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to bring... This is a very makeshift desk. It's actually a piece of plasterboard. You can look down and see. It's a piece of plasterboard, and it's like a... I don't know, is it 2 foot, maybe a 2 foot by 2 foot square piece of plasterboard, and it's just sitting up on sawhorses. So it's just this, it's like this Black & Decker, like portable sawhorse thing, which is up on cans of paint, which is up on milk crates. I'm just as improvised as you can get to make this thing to fit in this small space. So I do have a table that I used when I was broadcasting during the pandemic that is made for this. It's long and narrow, and it has a little crank to hand adjust it to height. It has a second shelf for the monitors and things. I might just have to bring that down here and put that down here so I have a proper workspace. I'm not so crunched with everything. I can put the microphone, I can actually maybe get the articulated arm microphone back That way it'll be a little closer. I won't have to lean into it all the time, so that I'm not whispery, as Don has pointed out. So I will try and be closer to it, because normally, you're supposed to be closer. I don't think these mics, I think corded is what they are. So they're really tight. They don't pick up a lot of background sounds. They only pick up what's right in front of them, because they're for like speech and for singing mics. So that's probably why the sound is not so great if I'm not right on top of it. So I'll have to work on that, make sure I'm right on top of this mic. Or, as I said, I'll get a different mic. I'll get the SM78s or 177, just the ones that are made for broadcast that are a little more robust. Then maybe I'll bring the thing down from the ceiling or up from the table. I don't know, something of that nature. We'll get it. We're working on it still. It's a work in progress. This whole thing's a work in progress. I will at some point turn the GoPro so you can see what it looks like for my view, looking out into the rest of my basement area, because this is the workroom part of my basement. My basement is like the Silence of the Lambs. Every room has a door, so when you come down the stairs, you come into this little room, which is my work room, where the furnace is and the hot water heater is and the electrical panels are. But if you go into the next room, that's the storage room for like toys and things. And there's another door right in front of me, and that's a cedar closet for clothes and costumes and things of that nature, luggage. But then there's another room where the washer and dryer is, and then there's a door on the room where the wine cellar was, or like where there's booze and like old pots and pans and things. So yeah, every room has a doorway. So it's like Silence of the Lambs down here, except for murder scenes and things of that nature. I guess I could do that. See, Don's always thinking. Pick a box off behind you, put it up on the box. See, then it would be closer. Why did I think of that? And one of the things you can also notice if you do is I'm going to change and add something to the room, to the scene, stuff that you can see every night. So if you figure out what it is, I'll figure out something. I'll make some sort of a weekly prize or something for the person who notices the most things that are added or subtracted or changed. But I'll change something. There'll be something added or subtracted. Tonight, I added the little red rubber duck. He's new. So that was added tonight, the little red rubber duck. And I do probably have a box somewhere, Don. Let me see. Something. It needs to go about this high. Toolbox, something that's not going to be super heavy or take up a lot of space, because that's the one thing this table doesn't have, is a lot of space. Here we go. A Dremel case. I bet that'll lift it right to where it needs to be. Better, not in my face though. Hopefully it's not covering too much. Camera still works. I can see it. But see, now it covers my shirt. See, you can't see Randsanity. Now, see, last night I wore the same shirt, but it's a different shirt, because last night was sweaty and smelly and stinky, and I could actually see like salt stains because I sweated so much. But that's that. So, yes, some sort of a contest to discover what's new in the room. So I think I have to figure out how that works. But definitely it's some sort of a contest, and that way it'll drive people back. Maybe I'll like get a T-shirt or something. I have a few old T-shirts, and maybe produce some new ones. So, contest. Let's see what you got. Clip it hanging from the ceiling. Yes, that's what I can do, because I've got a big open ceiling above me, so my ceiling's nice and tall and open. There's lots of wires up there, so that's why you don't see all the wires dangling down. I mean, they're definitely dangling, don't get me wrong. They're everywhere. Every light. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lights up above me to keep the room so I don't have too many shadows. So that's part of the allure of having stuff in the ceiling. Or the way the camera angle is, you don't get to see all the things, because that's the illusion, isn't it? The illusion of television, how things hide. So we'll try my best. Try my best to hide those things. But National Best Friends Day is today. And again, tomorrow is National Rhubarb Pie Day and Donald Duck Day. Now, if it was Talk Like a Pirate Day, which is September 8th, 19th, obviously I would get the captain down here. So I don't know if you know this, but I have a pirate friend. And if you know me, most people have met my pirate friend. He was Captain Morgan for a decade or more. 6'4", long, curly, wavy hair, the whole goatee thing, and had his own Captain Morgan outfit and continued the Captain Morgan philosophy and attitude even after he was no longer being paid to be Captain Morgan. So sort of like from Dodgeball, Pirate Steve. Pirate Steve. Yes, it would be Pirate Mark. R. But yes, the captain, as most people know him as. A lot of people don't even know his name. It's like, oh, wait, that's his name? I just called him the captain for the last 20 years. But yes, so we'll talk about Pirate Day. We'll try and make sure that we get him in here for that because he is a character, to say the very least, as most of my friends are characters in one way or another, if you can imagine that. Shocking, I know. I have friends that are characters. But yes, Mark the Pirate for Talk Like a Pirate Day. We'll see. Maybe at some point I'll bring my dog down. You can see my dog, Desi. Desi may or may not want to be on camera. She's a Chiweenie, which is a dachshund and a Chihuahua. So I don't know if I had never even heard of one until we inherited Desi from a kill shelter in California. But she is a hilarious, small, little beastie dog that is just, she makes silly noises, and who doesn't love small dogs? Unless you like big dogs or cats. I mean, I'm cool with that too. I'm just not a cat guy. But cats are fine. I got no hate for cats. There's cat people in the world. So that's most of the stuff. That's the things. I'm going to dig through tickets and find shows that I have attended over the years for every night of the week, because I'm sure that there'll be some nights that will have more than one in time. You'll find a show like, okay, on June 10th, I found this show. Oh, and 3 years earlier, I went to this show. And wow, also this show. So this date has a lot of shows that I went to. And then maybe some others that'll be less. But I'm hoping I'll be able to find at least one for every day. And I can't imagine that I won't be able to, in all honesty. I can't imagine that between all the shows at Newport Music Hall, Nationwide Arena, the smaller clubs, Bluestone, Athenaeum, Rumba, all these venues, and then out of town, obviously, as well. There was a lot of shows we went to, earlier in life, in New York, and then going to shows in Cleveland, out of market, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Chicago, Detroit, New York, you name it, California, Colorado, just other venues, that I can't find a show for every single night of the year that I've attended for some concert that would be interesting. So, my concert diaries, Don says, yes, dear diary, today I went to see. Maybe I'll have to start it off that way. Again, we're still learning. We're learning. So your suggestions are helpful. I appreciate it. Good evening, Shane. I see Shane. Rocky is here. Thanks for saying hello, Shane. Rocky. But yes, if you have ideas, you see things that you love, please tell me. If you see things that you hate, well, tell me to, stop doing them. Because I'm going to continue to do this and annoy everybody. If you haven't subscribed, please, note to self, please hit the subscribe to Randsanity. Because that one, if I get enough subscribers that I can actually monetize that, I will move content and start doing some stuff over there. I will probably at some point find an AI assistant because, I don't know, do I need a human being anymore? My friend Kevin Young, who is a great guy, record industry guy that I've known for decades, I sent him the thing about AI 27 to listen to. He hasn't brought himself to it yet. But he did send me a podcast about someone who's trying to refute that AI isn't going to kill us all. So I will listen to that for a different perspective on AI not murdering us in our sleep. But then there was something in the New York Times about it writing its own program not to be turned off. So I don't know. I just know that AI is here and it's going to change things a little bit more than I think we're ready for either way. So should be fun. Should be an experience. So hold on tight. I'll keep us posted on that. And it's funny because I have a motorcycle license plate, and my motorcycle license plate is AI. Ahead of the time? Maybe. I've had it for a long time. Long time. So, I don't know. Maybe I thought ahead. I'll have to hang that in here. Oh, say I give it away. That'd be something you can look for. The things that might be there. So I'm done with Wine Festival, so no more Wine Festival talk, except for when I show the video, because it's going to be funny at some point. Because, again, that was hilarious, watching this thing get stuck at Costco. There is going to be, wherever the subscription is for... Oh, please, I can't find this. And I'm not going to worry about it. Next episode number 4, our first day in Cleveland is coming up this Thursday on Day Trippin' with Stephen He and me, the co-star. So please make sure you check that out. 8 o'clock Thursday, that next episode will come out. And again, I don't know what is going to happen because I am not privy to any of the editing. I keep telling them that we need more Ransanity. We need more Randy. The comments say it. The comments say they need more Randy, but it's only one man, and I can only bribe so many people to keep posting about me. So unless I get a influx of people that are watching this by the hundreds, by the thousands, by the millions, to call and demand more Randy, then I don't know how far I will go in this industry at this moment without my own perseverance, which I will try my best to do. But who knows? It's a journey, and it's not the destination. It's just the journey. The destination will happen eventually when we destine. All right, so that's where we're going to wrap it, I think, tonight. It's 11:38, so I'm going to try and post these that you can actually know when they're coming. So, Don, if you look, you can find that. Maybe update the recordings of these episodes of the C95 channel over to Insanity channel. Hasn't been on new content there for a while. Yeah, I can I do that? Can I just move these over there? I don't know. You'll have to tell me. See, that's part of the whole thing. There's a lot of stuff I don't know how to do, and I'm still learning that. The technical difficulties, I think, are behind me. Now it's just getting the flow, of what each episode's going to be, trying to keep it within a reasonable time so it's not just dragging on for hours and people are bored. I did see, that's what I was waiting and looking for. I did see when I found out that I can schedule these, that's where I can put in like the buffer video. If I schedule it, I can put in like the 3-minute buffer video. So get people come in and I can sort of, just sort of be the intro to the video. I can talk about things or whatever. That way, I'm not just seeing it for the first 3 minutes when no one's watching and I'm just monologuing, talking to nobody. So that's part of it too. But that's not really technical as much as learning and understanding what the modus operandi is of how I'm going to do it and how YouTube does it. Because again, I don't do this all the time and haven't done it on the regular for a long time. So I'm still learning those things. But I'll get there. Promise. Promise we'll get there. We'll get there together. We'll journey together. All right. So, yes, Don, I'll try and do that. I think that's a great idea. I'll see if I can migrate these, I believe, is the word that you want to use. Instead of migrate these from this channel to me. And I guess maybe should I migrate them all at once? I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll move them one at a time. No, I'll probably move them all at once. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I can do it. Don't know how to do it yet. But that way I can maybe monetize them. But I can't monetize them until after 1,000 subscribers. I've got 570. How many do I have? I don't even know. I don't even know, man. Nobody loves me. Nobody's watching. No one's paying attention to me. I've got what? 573. 573. So I've got, what? 427 to go. So 427. That's an engine size, I think. A 427 Hemi, I believe. So yeah, I just need to get a 427 Hemi to go, and I'm good. That I can monetize. But that's going to take a minute, apparently. So I need to get that. Copy them over. Don't delete these. Just upload copies of episodes. See? Don, helpful. Helpful. Appreciate it. We'll get together this week. I'll give you a call. And try and beer storm, as Don says. Don, the idea guy. He is, in fact, the idea guy. So he'll be one of my secret producers. So, like Conan needs writers. He was a writer, but then he had writers. Well, Don's going to be one of my writers. I think one of my brainstormers. Barnstorming, brainstorming, beard storming, all that stuff. And did you notice we weren't interrupted tonight by the heat pump? I did figure out how to turn it off so it didn't make those ridiculously loud motor noises during my tirade, which, again, was making me crazy, and I'm sure making you crazy, because I was like, why is this still doing it? I mean, the heat pump shouldn't be going off. It's summer. It was like 80 today again. Who knows? Anyway, yes, the secret producer is Don. So he can send stuff here that you can see, but he's also going to be able to text me, and I can look at the stuff on the DL and be like, oh, right, thanks, Don. I forgot to do that. And, like when I'm talking and monologuing about something that I think I'm showing you, and I forget to actually hit the button, and you're not seeing it, that would do it. So what can I say? All right, so I'm also going to create an end card. So instead of just fading to black and it just kind of streaming endlessly and fading off into the distance, I'll create an end card that'll have something with it as well. So I appreciate you all for coming and listening and watching and participating and being here to say howdy. Thank you, friends. Do good things. Make someone smile. And remember, just keep going. That's all we can do at this point. Just keep on going. And if you need help, just ask. Someone will help you. Someone will give you that hand. Someone will pick you up. Just got to ask. You'd be surprised. If you don't ask, you don't get. Wendy Steele used to say that. Another one. God rest Wendy Steele. You don't ask, you don't get. Thanks. Fade to black.